Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is another edition of Restore the Floor, a playoff edition, as the New York Knicks beat the Detroit Pistons 94-93 to take a 3-1 series lead. The series now shifts back and goes to Madison Square Garden on Tuesday night. We are here live at LCA from the press room. Evan Jenkins live in his man cave. Watch the game. I was hanging out with Jim Costa in the good seats, like 107 seats. We were standing behind like where the bar areas are. So a lot of times down the stretch, we were watching it on the big screen. But man, what an exciting game! It looked like they weren't ready for prime time at all. They came back, had an 11-point lead in the third quarter, saw that salted away, and then obviously a controversial ending. Evan, your thoughts watching at home?
Well, it's kind of what you said. I was standing at home too, so I might as well have been at LCA because I don't know how you could sit during the final minutes there in that game. I don't want to talk about officiating because I thought it was a horribly officiated game from the start on both ends of the ball. Yep. I don't know. I mean, it seemed like 90s basketball because they were just letting them play. I mean, throughout the entire game, it seemed like they got a little bit tighter after Ron Holland got in Karl Anthony Towns' face there. But, I mean, the Pistons did everything that they needed to do in order to win this game, and unfortunately, they fell short. I mean, think about what happened between the end of the second to the beginning of the fourth quarter. The Pistons just owned that game. They out-toughed the Knicks. The amount of times the Knicks went to the rack looking for fouls, and they didn't get them, and they just straight up denied the ball at the rim, and that's what you want to see. Now, at the end of the game, you had a costly turnover by Cade. I mean, that really sucked, but Tim Hardaway was clutch down the stretch there. I know Cade's your guy, but I would have liked to see him take one of those shots other than the final one that he was probably bumped on. But, I mean, Stoney, the official was like 4 feet away from him at that moment and didn't make that call.
Look, when they showed it on the big screen, everybody was going crazy because there was definitely contact. And not to name drop, but I talked to Tim Legler, who actually called the game that you were watching. Yeah. On the way out, I said, was it a foul? He goes, yeah, it was a foul. But because they would let that shit go all game long. I mean, our buddy Larry Lage of AP tweeted out during the game. He goes, I've never seen so much, whistle swallowing in my life. So it was very consistent with the way the game was called. It still doesn't make it easier for Piston fans to take.
Not at all.
Especially when you're up 11 and there were certain things down the stretch. I mean, you can't leave Karl Anthony Towns wide open.
Stoney, those 5 points that he scored at the end of the fourth quarter, one where he was Larry Bird shooting over the basket, which it's like, how the hell does that go in?
Right.
But that 3 that he's 5 feet away from the line and he just nails it. And you're like, oh my God, that's a backbreaker.
Yeah. And look, you mentioned, Cade Cunningham, bad turnover down the stretch as well. He had a triple-double, but he really didn't do much early in the game. 25 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, but once again, 7 turnovers and one very, very tough one. I mean, you look back at the game and look, right from the get-go, it looked to me the Pistons weren't ready to be in prime time. The Knicks were more aggressive. They played better defense than the Pistons did. And obviously, the Pistons couldn't shoot for 3. It was unbelievable. Well, they were 10% at one point. I mean, they were 0 for
20. Yep.
Yeah, they were 0 for 10. And I think they missed their first 10 threes. And it said, oh, my God, where's Malik Beasley? He showed up a little bit more in the second half, obviously. Foul trouble hurt him. I mean, Tobias played pretty good. But when, you had to go to Paul Reed for, decent amounts, you got in trouble there. And give the Knicks credit. I mean, I'm standing with, people who are just Brunson. They can't stand him. I said, man, the guy is so good. He's so freaking good. And,
the way that he's able to get to the rim and create his own shot, that 3, that step back that he made to make it a 3-point game, it's just Stoney, they're a very, very tough team because, I mean, you look at them. I mean, Mikal Bridges was basically silent the entire freaking game. So you're able to, he had 8 points. Anunoby had 8 points. But then it's just those big 2 with Towns with 27 and Jalen Brunson with 32 and 15 of those coming in the fourth quarter where he had his little cliche moment, Willis Reed moment, and came back after another bum ankle and went down hard. I'm like, you need to take advantage of the game here while he's out, and the Pistons did it. Now, what did you think at the end of the third quarter? Did you think that Schroeder was trying to get a little showboaty instead of just going up with that layup himself, which was another 2 points. They lost by 1 point. He ended up dishing it off to Tim Hardaway, and it was after the bucket.
Yeah, I mean, it was reminiscent to a lesser extent of what happened in the Denver game the other night, where it looked like it was going in. The refs made the right call again. It's just a shame, that 2 points could have come in handy. Yeah, it was a little bit of a showboaty. And look, I do want to stress, I wasn't there Thursday night. It was just electric in there. I mean, I'm sure they showed them all on television between Dan Campbell and Jared Goff, Isaiah Ben Wallace, Chauncey. I don't know, Jalen Rose, obviously. Meanwhile, Spike Lee. Again. Oh, I didn't see Weber, but Spike Lee. That was the brightest orange shirt I think I've ever seen in my life, and man, he was just being obnoxious. But that's what he does. It was a playoff game. It was highly contested, and like I said, I didn't think they were ready for prime time. They certainly showed that maybe they are. They're just not. They're a little below the New York Knicks. And that's the way I thought it was going to be. Because they have two studs, and unfortunately, the Pistons only have one. Well, and it got him go, and he took a while to get going too.
No, he really did. And Stoney, in today's NBA game, you have to be able to hit the 3-point shot. And to me, that's where this game was decided. The Knicks were 15-33. The Pistons were 7-29.
Yeah, and turnovers: 17 for the Pistons, 10 for the Knicks.
Yeah, and all of those. Were very early on in the game, and the Pistons, the broadcast team made a good point. They're like, with all of these turnovers and the Knicks hitting 5 threes compared to the Pistons 0, like the lead should have been bigger than what it actually was. Mm-hmm. And the Pistons just weren't able to take control until they did, and then they let it slip away. And I got to go back and watch it because in real time, I didn't really feel like it was slipping away. And boy, just like that lead was gone. And now I'm looking at the box score. And I know you love the plus-minus stat. Everybody on the Pistons that was a starter was plus, except for Jalen Duren, who was a -17, which is kind of weird because in that first quarter, Stoney, he had 9 rebounds. He finished with 17 rebounds.
Yeah, and Tobias was -9 as well, as I look at that. It's, they play hard. There's no doubt about it. The problem is that I think it's a talent issue. The Knicks are better. It's that simple. And that's not to say the Pistons can't go in and win at the Garden. They already have, but it's going to be very tough. That crowd's going to be going crazy. And the Pistons were fortunate. We talk about some of the guys in the Pistons that didn't play well, but you mentioned Bridges. He did nothing, but he hit that first 3 when they were were down. Yeah, they were down 11, and that 3 got him going a little bit when they went on that run because he only had 8 points. Anunoby. Definitely a game that he's going to forget. 3 for 14. He's still really good defensively, obviously. But, they got nothing. They had 5 total bench points. Pistons outscored their bench 22-5. And that was all McBride.
And, Stoney, that's the story of this series, though. The Knicks bench hasn't scored at all except for in game 1 when Payne went unconscious in the fourth quarter there. But the Pistons need to really take advantage when Brunson and Towns aren't in the game.
Right.
Because Towns is such a good mismatch for the Knicks and bad for the Pistons. Because if you put Duren on him, he's going to hit the 3. You put Tobias, he's going to the bucket. And at the end of the day, that's a very tough matchup. And with Tobias out of the game, who was playing great D, that really hurt the Pistons there down the stretch.
And I don't want to – there's 2 things on the coaching for the Pistons. Number one, I thought it was really good. Maybe they should do it more next game. When Mitchell Robinson's in the game, and if you're over the limit, you foul his ass if it's before the 2 minutes because he can't make free throws.
So they had mentioned since he had been back that he was shooting at 70%, but he shot 4 of them today, and all 4 were almost air balls. Like they didn't even get over the rim, Stoney.
I know. They were awful. So that was a good strategy. I still don't understand the rationale, Evan, of in a game that is 10-8, you use your one challenge for a play that is, even if it was overturned, it was so close. What are they doing?
I don't know. The TV made another good, you don't want to use that challenge because if you lose it, it's out for the rest of the game. Maybe you use it on that Cade play, which it was off of his leg,
right?
But it's definitely close. It's something that you look at. But that's multiple times this series that they've taken questionable challenges, and somebody has to be on that bench, whether it's the dude that said, go and challenge this, or the head coach to just say, maybe this isn't the time in the game to do this. Because it wasn't that big of a call. You're right. It was a 10-8 ball game.
No doubt. I mean, look, the first quarter, 0 for 6 from three. At the half, they ended up, two. Actually, they were 2 for 10 in the second quarter. So they got better a little bit. Third quarter, shooting for three, 2 for 7, and then in the final quarter, they were, as I look at it, 3 for 6. So they got better shooting the three. I'll give some guys some credit. I thought Tobias Harris played really, really hard. He
Yeah.
looked invigorated. He looked pissed at times, and he was, playing as good as defense as he can against somebody who's 4 to 5 inches taller, meaning Karl Anthony Towns. And if I hear one more person talk about how soft Towns is, I'm going to lose it. I mean, he, especially against, now maybe he comes up soft against guys his own size, but man, when he's on, he's impossible to stop.
Yeah, and I know come Monday morning on 97.1 The Ticket, a lot of people are going to talk about the officiating and that last call, but this game was bigger than that last call, in my opinion. I mean, listen, it was a desperation heave anyway, so I don't know if he makes it without the body or whatever it might be. I mean, the Pistons did the right thing in the last possession by taking a shot. Maybe they took it a little too early, but you want to give yourself time for that offensive board. They got the ball. I mean, it's tough to swallow because you thought that they controlled that game going into the fourth quarter. But like I said, it was a 7-point lead, and no lead in the NBA under 10 is really safe. And the Stars made the biggest shots when they needed, and that was Towns and that was Brunson. Those running layups that he makes are incredible to me.
I didn't keep track, but I can imagine, I don't know if they talked about it on the broadcast, about how many missed layups the Pistons had early. And they weren't uncontested layups, I'll say that. But there were times where Duran and even Tobias and Asar Thompson you thought were going to be putbacks, and they just missed them.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, 1 o'clock starts in the NBA are definitely weird, especially in the playoffs. And you're right, Stoney. It just looked like the Knicks were more capable of getting it done early on in the game than the Pistons were. And it just looked like a shock to the system. Now, I'm sure that JB Bickerstaff talking to the media is definitely going to be talking about the referees in those last two plays. I mean, he went cosmic at the end of the game, chasing after the officials. I don't know what he thought was going to get, achieved there by doing that, but you just got to hope that they rebound well. Stoney, if they get another win and they go into Madison Square Garden, I will be so blown away, impressed that they're able to do that, to bounce back with such a young team. I mean, I think the learning experience that this team is going through is exceptional. I know a lot of Pistons don't like to hear about a silver lining on a loss like that. But, I mean, Asar Thompson, those lights are bright. He hasn't exactly shown up in this series, in my opinion.
He had those 2 consecutive turnovers back-to-back that was really costly.
And, I mean, I guess you take them as learning moments. It's great for Cade. He goes out there, the second Piston ever to have a triple-double next to Isaiah Thomas, who was in the house that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And this one is tough to swallow for me, Stoney. It really, really is, because they were in control of that game late.
I mean, you look at the series. Okay, so the first game they lose by 11 thanks to a 21-0 run by the Knicks. They win the game. They win game 2. Game 3, 2 points. Game 3, 2 points. Game 4, 1 point. I mean, they're in it, but they just don't seem to be as good as the Knicks. It's pretty simple.
Well, and that goes down to stars, because outside of Cade, who you knew was going to take that last shot, I mean, yeah, Hardaway played really, really well that game, but that's about it. Beasley hit a couple threes down the stretch, but before that, I mean, he airballed a three. Like, he was in his own head.
I know. There was no doubt. Because he had a bad game the night before. But even Hardaway, he started off so bad. He ended up 4 for 13 for threes. So they're going to have to regroup and figure something out and, not let the officiating get to them. Because, the Knicks, like I said, they're better. And look, the Knicks got pissed at some calls too, but they let them play. And as a fan, I'd much rather watch them let them play as long as they're consistent. I don't want to see a parade to the free throw line. And all things considered, only 35 free throws. That's pretty good.
Yeah, 17 for the Pistons, 18 for the Knicks. The Knicks missed 7 of them. And, I mean, they missed Mitchell Robinson had – and Hart was 0 for 2 on one trip. Mitchell Robinson was 0 for 4. So there you go. It's just, you're right though, Stoney. There's no lead that's too big in this series, because at the end of the game, it seems like it's crunch time and who's going to get the last shot. And it would have been awesome to see them win on a last shot, because that place would have been insane.
Oh my Lord. Yes.
So you think going forward, that place is going to be really tough for opponents to come in?
Yeah. As long as it's, important games and people show up. If it's sold out and people, are having a good time, and it's just, God, you have 2 home playoff games and you can't win either one. One you lose by a bucket, one you lose by 1 point.
Yeah, I mean, they're right there. So like I said, right now you got to just take the silver lining and hope that, Beasley starts getting going. Maybe he comes alive in game 5 and they put on another show in the Garden. They can come back here for game 6. Just like the Pistons tweeted, it's not over. In my opinion, it kind of is, but you still hold out hope, and you still, take these learning lessons. If Cade goes out, has another triple-double performance, and maybe somebody sees him from afar that's another superstar and is like, I need to play with that guy.
Yeah.
And because, don't forget this offseason, there's no first-round pick unless they make some kind of deal for that. So you're looking for free agency and you're looking for player development.
Well, we'll get into this more when the season ends, but I think in a weird way, you never want to see your team lose or, go for the blessing in disguise. But I think this series shows, as of now, you don't want to overpay Malik Beasley.
Yeah, unless he goes out there and drops 25 on Tuesday night, and then it's a whole nother story, right? But I kind of agree with that. But you need the 3-point shooting. Stoney, he made like 300 of them.
I know.
So it's like, if you're that team, are you like, we have 3-point shooting here, but you don't overpay for the guy? I definitely agree with that. You don't go from whatever he was getting paid this year and $6-7 million to go pay him 20. You don't want to do that.
Correct. All right. So Pistons lose 94-93. They definitely they miss Isaiah Stewart in there. There's no doubt, and I don't think we're going to be seeing him the rest of the season. Definitely not this series if they advance. But I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to play one on the radio. Evan, thanks as always. We appreciate everybody listening. We'll be back with you after game number 5, and maybe we might have a surprise guest in a podcast later on through the NBA playoffs. All right. For Evan, this is Stoney here at Little Caesars Arena. Peace out.